Hey, g'day.
G'day. Welcome back to the studio.
Thanks. Are you going to give me a key soon so I don't have to knock on the door with a...
As the listeners would know, and they probably agree with me, keeping you out of here
Yeah, that's
has
true.
to be part of the deal.
Yeah, it's true. When you signed the lease, there was a strict code, and I believe that I would not have been mentioned in anything, or you wouldn't have got given the lease.
Yeah, someone who dresses like they're planning on squatting in the place.
It's true. It's true. She's always wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
Surely she's homeless. Yes, and that is a plan. There's a big couch here, and I want to sleep on it one
You
day.
would fit on that couch.
I can
just
fit
like-
on I can sleep on this chair that I'm on.
I got the couch big enough for yourself, but also for guests.
Yeah, well, you've done well. A guest that we've got coming in today, I'm pretty excited about.
I'm very excited, and I normally know a little bit more about the people we're bringing on, or I do a lot more research, but I thought there's so much stuff in this gentleman's life
Yep.
that I'm not going to be able to get my head around it all without him being here. So I just basically took...
A Mel approach.
Yeah, I just took the fifth on that.
I'm just going to do the Mel naive approach.
Fly on the wall style.
And just fly on the wall style. So the man is Chris Maney, and the real reason, like, he's an impressive dude. But the reason that I got him on is because he's part of a very cool cause at the moment. He's an ambassador for Terry's Big Bearded Ball Drop.
That's Terry's Big Bearded Ball Drop. For people that are listening, are like, what was that?
Yeah. It's a bit of a mouthful. Full.
Yeah, righto. Continue on.
Anyway, I've got so many questions for him, and I doubt I'm going to get all the answers that I want today.
I want an answer to, obviously, the cause that he's part of, but I want to know about Chris's businesses, which you've seen.
So many.
But also his beard.
Yes. His beard could be a business in itself.
You know how you've mentioned in the past whether you're impressed or intimidated?
Yeah.
I'm pretty intimidated by the potential of this man's beard being in the studio here and making me feel like an underbearded human.
I believe that when he walks in the door, the first thing that will enter will be his beard.
Probably.
So on that note, let's get him in here.
Something that his beard doesn't have is coffee spilt all through it. It's going to be a clean first into the room beard.
Yeah.
You can support our show by going to supportpunchingsideways.com or buymeacoffee.com/Joshua C. Liston. Thank you for the people that donated coffees for the Bernadette episode.
Oh,
we had a few coffees come in straight away after posting that, which is
cool.
Bloody amazing.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Pretty much like Chris and Chris's beard. Bloody amazing.
Bloody amazing.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Punching Sideways. Welcome, Chris Maney. Thank you for coming in.
Welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Guys. It's good to be here. I love this little space you've got here. Very relaxing, and you've got some pretty good technology around the place.
You look good in that chair.
You look very good.
They're good chairs. I feel comfortable in these chairs.
You look good in...
I'm going to come back here for lunch sometime.
Yeah.
I like how he's given the chair a compliment. It's not the fantastic hair and beard.
Well, having said that, I met you, Chris, at an open mic. Do you remember?
Yeah, that's going back a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and you left an immediate impression on me. So for anyone that's listening at the moment who doesn't know who Chris Maney is, you may have seen like this glorious waving beard walking around Albury-Wodonga, and it's got a handlebar mustache and a swept back like kinnicky thing going on at the top of your head. It's amazing. And I saw you at an open mic night I was hosting, and because of your beard, I held an impromptu...
That's right, you did.
Beard off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, can I ask the most pertinent question now that I'm in presence of the beard?
Yeah, you can notice it, hey.
It's reasonably prominent. Did anyone even challenge the beard?
I made people challenge.
Yeah,
was there any realistic competition?
Yeah, we
there?
had some good, healthy competition that night, I think, Mel, didn't we?
There was actually. It was one of those nights where I was looking around and I was like, oh my God, there's beards everywhere tonight. There was Caldwell Jones. There was, you had a mate there as well. There was like 12 different beards. And I love people that are not afraid to exhibit personality and just own it. So I was super excited. I was running around like getting, I was like, Evan was like running St. Ives at the time. I was like, I'm having a beard competition and I'm having a prize and I know this is supposed to be an open mic night, but we're doing a beard off. And I don't think you wanted to actually, you were out eating your tea and I really wanted you in it because you were like the glory to me. And I sort of just made you, I think.
That's all right. It's all good bearded fun.
It was a good bearded fun. And out of that, I've always kept you in my little secret squirrel head of what can I hit up Chris for again in the future. And next out of that, a little segue, which you don't even know about, was I did a photo shoot in your bar.
Oh, righto.
For Two Fingers when Heavy Ravi and that had their band as well.
I was thinking today, and just not to detour us at all, but it's in line with Mel's story. I was thinking, because I hadn't actually realised just how beautiful the inside design and the aesthetic is of the whiskey bar.
It's amazing. Two Fingers. Gentleman's Bar and Whisky.
I saw a picture, basically just the Facebook cover photo today, and I was like, it was tickling something in my brain of it looks so fantastic. I remember thinking this about something else I've looked at in the past, and it was the photos that their band did.
Yeah. Yeah, so we did a photo shoot in there. I don't think I'd met you then.
Because I figured they must have done those in Melbourne. Because I knew nothing that looked like that around here.
Well, it's quite a little exclusive space, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and we've had quite a few people do, approach us and do photographs down there, and I like having people come to that space and do that because that's sort of the reason why we created it. So to have people to come to me and say, hey, we want to do a photo shoot for some clothing, or we've got a band release, or, we've done a lot of, bucks parties or wedding parties in there, and the guys will come in there in the morning and, have a couple of drinks and get some beautiful photos done. And one of the photos actually hanging on the wall was done by Jason Robbins in Wodonga, and it won a silver award down in Melbourne. So, yeah, we like our little space.
And we love the nitty-gritty of things. So can you just tell us how many iterations were there of the design, or did you see something in your own experience travelling to other bars where you thought, I could do, if I did this and this and they were mixed together?
Yeah, look, it sort of was a work in progress over 2 years. So it was something we didn't just come up with overnight, put down on plans and have a commercial builder go, this is what we want. It was, I've travelled, I've lived overseas. I spent 3.5 years in the UK. So I'd been to a lot of, English pubs, and I've been through Europe. So I sort of had an idea in my head of what I wanted. And when we started the renovation, it was sort of a step-by-step process. And at the end of the day, we'd sit back with a beer and have a look at, what we'd achieved, and we're okay, we'll do this and we'll do that. So it was a sort of like an oil painting in the making. You'd do a little bit, you'd step back at the end of the week or the day and go, oh, we'll change that. And I didn't try and overthink things. I just tried to let them come to me, and, along the way we'd collect little bits and pieces from op shops and, church auctions and all sorts of, little knickknacks that we gathered along the way. So that's sort of probably what made it as organic as it is, and that's probably what stands out in people's minds when they walk in the door. They go, wow, what is it about this place? Well, it's the lighting, it's the smell of the fire, it's appealing to all of your senses, not just 2 or 3 of your senses. So,
tell me this: what was the hardest thing to source, and what's your favourite thing in there?
That's a good one.
Ooh, that is a good one. So probably I would say the hardest thing to source was our coffee machine, our beautiful Electra Bella Pock. And I had my roaster in Melbourne looking for ages, and I sort of had a vision in my head, and I don't know whether it was from another life or whatever, but I just had a vision in my head of what I wanted to go with all the timber. And, people are showing me, 3 group horizontal machines, and I'm like, it's going to take too much of the bar away. And then he sent me a brochure from some guys in Melbourne that have got a a beautiful business, and they actually had imported this machine from the Milan Coffee Expo, and it was a centerpiece in their business. And he sent me the brochure, and I saw it, and I just fell in love. I'm like, the supermodels just walked into the room.
Yeah.
I'd seen all these other catwalk coffee machines come along the catwalk, and
just the mainstream.
And when I turned that page, I'm like, whoa, and So look, it was probably 3 times what we're looking at spending, but it had to be in our world. So we managed to do a pretty good deal with them, and that's probably it was sort of our little bit of pride and joy that is. It really fits into the place very well. People go, "Oh, is that you?" It looks like a still. They think it's because it's whiskey bar. They go, "Is that your still?" It's like, no, really it's our coffee machine. So,
do you ever mess with people and tell them it is?
Sometimes, yeah.
Especially and then you give them a shot, and they're like, "Well, it tastes a lot like coffee."
Yeah, especially if they've had a few drinks, it's even more fun. Yeah.
Do you know what a really good thing about something that looks that aesthetically pleasing? It actually makes amazing coffee. As well.
It does.
It's not bitter. It's smooth. You don't need sugar. I'm like a real sweet tooth. And the first time I tasted one there, I was like, oh, there's none of that aftertaste or anything. It's just beautiful. Yeah, granted, you have great staff as well who make it.
Yeah, we've got a couple of great guys and girls that are baristas, and we get our coffee out of Melbourne every week. So I've got a really good relationship with my roaster in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's really.
It's fantastic to tie all that together.
That was your favourite, or the hardest to get, or both?
No, that's his
that was
hardest,
the hardest
to get.
Probably the thing I procrastinated most about. I would say would have been the coffee machine.
Well, it's pretty much the centre of activity the entire time you're open, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So no, we're very happy with that, and it was probably the hardest and most biggest decision or longest winded decision that we had. Yeah.
And the favourite?
When you walk in there, what makes you go, geez, I'm happy we did that?
I think we're very lucky when we renovated the place, it had an open fire in there. So that's probably one of my faves. Was
that a consideration to maybe block that up, or was it always going to?
No, not really. It had been boarded up when we took over the lease, and the chimney had been knocked over when they re-roofed, so we had to rebuild the chimney. Obviously, it's a great fire. It works well. Yeah, we rebuilt the mantle, and so that's having that as inside a premise in Albury. I don't think anyone else has got an open fire, so it was fantastic to have that already there and just basically restore it. So yeah, that's probably and the private room, I guess, is probably when we have people through. We've got a hidden for those of you that don't know. Come into Two Fingers, there's a little secret. So we've got
Is that where people keep disappearing to, and I think they're going to the toilet for a really long time?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I don't know about it.
I love a secret room story. Let's do it.
We have a little hidden room behind our bookshelf. So if you happen to be in Two Fingers and you haven't seen it. But yeah, we like to sort of show people through and go, hey, this is what we do. And we sort of leave that till the last to go, but wait, there's more.
Yes.
And do you have like a little lever?
We did book? We did think of that, but no, we've just got the door just opens. We'll have to,
Can I ask a question to follow on from Mel's question?
Yeah, sure.
What is the book on the bookshelf that people pick up most?
That's very interesting.
Because I'm a massive reader, which Mel.
That's really interesting because for my 30th birthday party, I was big into
last year.
Well, I was big into Austin Powers at the time, so a mate of mine, he rebranded a book, and for those of you that are familiar with Austin Powers movies,
yes,
there's a book called Swedish Penis Pumps and Me. And so he rebranded this book, and it's a picture of me holding a device, and it's me, Chris Maney, Swedish Penis Pumps and Me. So we've just got that cleverly hidden behind amongst some of the other books there. So yeah, people get a bit of a laugh when they know who I am and they see that, and it's actually me without a beard as well. So if you want to get a picture with me without a beard, you need to come and have a look at that book, and it's me with a few less kilos and without a beard.
The no beard thing. I had someone at work say to me I'm very rarely clean shaven, but my beard's never as epic as yours. Never will be either. I had someone say to me, because I got a haircut last week, and they're like, "Did you get another haircut?" And it was a serious, because he stared at me for about 10 seconds, one of my managers. He's like, "What's different about you?" I'm like, "I'm clean shaven for the first time in 6 months." So if they're thinking that about me, would you be able to walk out on the street now without a beard and have people not know who you are?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you should shave it off," and I'm like, "No."
Who are these people? These crazy people?
Sometimes my wife actually says, "Oh, I want to see your face again." I'm like,
"Good one."
I'll show you.
Really?
I'll show you a few photos and just remind you of what that double chin looked like.
Yeah, that's it. Because you can easily, and I know I can easily hide an extra 5. When I've got if I shave, I'm like, "Oh, you're still heavy, Josh."
So maybe it's a good way to make you accountable for what your life choices are if you shave your beard off.
It's good to know how much of an impact my beard was making, where they thought I'd trimmed a tiny bit of hair off top.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Now, a few of you're an entrepreneurial man. I'm just looking at you and just impressed. How do you say it? Poseidon?
Poseidon Distributors, yeah.
Now, did that come out of a need within the COVID situation?
Not really. That was that came about before. So we're distributing barber products, beard oils, hair pomades to other. So through our first business, it was Doll Hut to start with, then Dude Hut. But we were bringing products in from the US and using them in the shop, and some of those products weren't available here in Australia. So we created a platform to be able to sell products to other barbershops, which enabled us to buy larger quantities at better prices and cement some good contracts. So that's a big part of our business. We do a lot of stuff online as well as just the haircutting and Dude Hut. And so through that, so it was predominantly built around the barbering products. But then when COVID hit, we've got a relationship with Whisky Distillery, and they do our house whiskey for us, and we've got their range of whiskeys. So when COVID hit and I went down, I thought, we better have some sanitizer in the shop. And I saw what Dean Druce was doing down there. I was just amazed. Like, the function centre was transformed into a production line. They had pallets of plastic containers, and they had every staff member at hand, putting labels on bottles, pouring bottles. And I just walked into this venue that had changed from a function centre to a production line, and I'm like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" He's like, "I know, it's crazy." So I said, "Man, do you need a hand?" And he's like, No, we're right. So I sold out the first day I went down. I got a whole heap of stock, and I come back and we sold out. I went down the next day and brought twice as much, and we sold that out. And then on that second time down, he said, "You know what? Can you give us a hand?" So through that, we did quite a lot of distribution for him. We ran to Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide. So that sort of grew that side of. That's been a bit of a wave, It's now that China's caught up with production. Unfortunately, people aren't buying Australian-made products, as much as it sort of saddens us to go, well, hey, we've got a local product right here on our doorstep, and you walk into Bunnings and you pick up a hand sanitizer, and, the price of our stuff went from, being, it was great, and then we pick up other product and we go, where's it made? It's made in China, and we don't even know that it's actually got the right ingredients in it. So yeah, look, that's just, I guess, production and so that was sort of short lived, but that was a bit of fun, and that was great to get some local, product out there. We still have the sanitizer there, and it's going well, but as the rest of the world cut it with production, and the Chinese said, no, you can't buy bottles off us anymore because everything that's coming out of China has to be filled with sanitizer. We couldn't get any.
Can I just ask one thing? Just before Mel, because I can tell your question's important and mine is definitely not. Have you ever just realised that you've been saying something wrong your whole life? I just assumed it was pronounced, is it pomade?
Pomade, yeah.
What did you call it?
Pomade, yeah.
Pomade. I've just been saying it wrong my whole life. I just realised that I'm usually okay with words, but I've been miffing that one.
Well, obviously it's not up on your scale of hair care products.
Oh, just because I follow a couple of young barbers that I used to teach guitar.
Yeah,
and
okay.
and some of them have promote things on their Instagram or whatever. And I've been thinking about that word incorrectly.
Oh, yeah, I think it depends on where you come from too. So,
could you just explain to people what that is? Because there was a few things in there you said that maybe aren't familiar with people. But
yeah,
what that,
so we've got some
is.
of the products we've got. So beard oil's pretty mainstream. It's been around for a long time. So essential oils, scented, so you can run those in your beard to nourish your beard, make it look a bit shinier. We've got beard butters now that are conditioners, beard balms that have conditioning oils, and they've got a bit of wax in them. So they're more of a styling product. So they'll help your beard calm all the flyaway hairs,
Like
and
yours,
a bit
Chris.
more like a hair pomade for your beard, so to speak.
How does a bearded person know that they do or don't need an oil or a butter?
You always need something. Same with you.
Yeah, look, I've spoken to a lot of guys with beards over the years, and some guys, no, don't. I'm just natural. I've had it since I was 16, and that's cool. And it's your beard. You can do with it what you choose. But it is nice to have it looking well groomed and smelling good, healthy, and if you're getting a little bit itch on your skin, then some of these products will help with your skin condition underneath your beard as well.
Okay, so really everyone that's got facial hair should have some.
They should, and they should buy it off me.
Do you know? I'll tell you
Good pitch, I like
a little segue. I used to be with a guy. Well, I wasn't with him initially, and he had a beard, right? And I was terrified of kissing him with that beard because I thought it was going to scratch my whole face off.
Yeah, right.
And after I kissed him, I was like, oh, it's actually really soft. Like, it was so soft because he looked after it, like you were saying. And I think there's, from a female perspective, the consensus may be, if you haven't touched someone's beard that's as lovely as you, Chris, and you may have delved into maybe a Josh's type beard, that they are really abrasive and like hardcore. But
I oil. I do oil.
You do?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But not at the level of a professional bearded person. But
so there's hair care involved, and it looks like you've made an effort. And thank you for making an effort for us as well.
And brushing and just your normal, the normal stuff you do with it.
You brush that?
You brush, you brush.
So is that with a special comb?
Brushing's best. Yeah, we've got some boar bristle brushes that we bring in from the US, and they're the best. So anti-static. You don't want any plastic in there, so you don't want to put any static.
Does that just make it fluff up and look silly, or?
Yeah, if you get static in there, so you definitely don't want to use plastic. And we've got some bone. The other thing you use is like a bone comb. So if you don't want to use a brush, you can use a comb, but bone's best for that. So
I'm feeling very ashamed about my lack of own hair care now when I'm listening to everything that you do to yours. I had a trainer that I used to work with who would have been 65, and also this might be where my love of like people owning their beard come from, and he used to have a little comb in his pocket and he'd pull it out like at halftime or whatever, like Kaniki on Grease, and just sit there and do his mow and his beard, and it was amazing.
That's great.
Absolutely amazing. Now my question back to segging into,
that's two tangents
ago.
2
tangents was Cora Whisky were great in COVID times, where they innovated and started using their distillery.
Absolutely, yep.
To make hand sanitizer because we were in such short demand.
And initially it was sort of aimed at the professionals, the vets, the hospitals.
Yeah.
And that's, the primary reason, because these places were running out of it. They didn't have it. So the hospitals didn't have it. So it was a real need to get it into those areas. And as they got supplies, it then filtered down to the general punters, and which was great. It's fantastic that they did that they had that foresight, and they were probably one of the first ones to do it. And after they did it, a lot of the other distilleries gone, hey, that's a good idea, and that's fine. And that's, you've got to, they've all of a sudden their business was taken away, so you have to start to diversify and go, well, how else are we going to survive? So they did a very good job of that, and I was very proud to be part of that with them and help them along. And
I know I'm probably about to. Sorry, Chris. I'm probably about to tangent us again, but I love the nitty gritty of things. So it might bore the listeners to death when I ask questions like this. But were they using an existing stock of basically, where did
initially they were, but it grew so quickly overnight that they needed to keep their stills going for their whiskey production.
Yeah.
They had to then source the alcohol from another supplier, and they would blend on site. So it grew so quickly that it wasn't viable anymore to do it with the existing stills. So it was better off to keep them for whiskey production.
And
Okay,
did you ever
incredible.
accidentally have a shot of that instead of the whiskey at the bar?
Well, you would want to water it down, but essentially,
pretty potent.
Essentially, you could. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So that just amazes me that not only did the team and obviously yourself being involved, not only did you ramp up what they already had, but they actually took the production even further to start bringing in extra material, just pretty much putting their own endeavours to a certain degree on the back burner. Because obviously, when you're making whiskey, you're thinking multiple years in the future. So for them, they still could have been putting all that effort on some level into things for the future, but they were looking at the immediate situation in the area, which is pretty bloody amazing, really.
And, it went out to some pretty big punters, ANZ Bank, Toyota and Sydney. It was going to these multi-corporate, businesses.
Wow.
That was pretty astounding to see that we had a product like that on our doorstep that was going to, these national corporates.
Sounds like someone we need to talk to
Yeah, it does,
at some
doesn't
point. One more quick business. Well, it's probably not a quick business for you. 13 Cabs as well. That's a new one.
So that's a new one. Yeah, that's a new one for us. So,
did you just have too much spare time? Or?
Oh well, I'd been with Malibu Boats for 16 years, so that was, and we had the businesses. Martina, my wife, we've had the businesses for probably 20 odd years, but sort of seriously in town with, and sort of probably over the last 3 to 5 years, I've been looking at that transition from me working full time in my career job to now transitioning into our business, and I was probably doing around 100 hours a week when I was at Malibu and then in our business, and I'm probably still doing 120 now.
But it's yours.
But it's for me, Yeah. So it came to the time where my American boss was going back and I just thought, I just turned 50 and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think the time is right for me now. So, and it feels really good to be, working on our own stuff now. And so the 13 Cabs thing was it came about around I'd resigned in November. We had the opportunity to buy into that franchise. We bought a car in the December. I left my job in February. And so it's just been a perfect stepping stone for me to do a few hours in the car. It's given me the flexibility. I can work in the business. And it's a bit of a, supplement to the bar. We can pick some of our friends up, drop them off. So look, it's been good, and look, I tell you what, I've really enjoyed my hours behind the wheel. It's something I haven't done, before. I've been an engine guy, and I'm a motorhead, so I build engines and race car engines, and I was in racing for 20 years, and then boats for another 16, and I enjoy meeting people, and every time you get someone in the cab, you just don't know what you're going to get. It's a bit like a mixed lolly bag. So you just don't know. You're going to get, some old lady that wants to go shopping and she needs help with the bags, or some young kid that wants to be dropped off to school, or some drunk guy that you pick up from the pub. So everyone you pick up, it's a journey for me, and I love you just don't know, and enjoying that conversation. And some people just don't want to talk. That's fine. That's cool. And other people want to open up and tell you their life story. So I've really enjoyed that side of things. It's been quite enjoyable. There's been days I've dropped people off and I've just laughed. I've parked the car and I've literally just laughed and gone, man, I wish I had that on film.
And
I love that.
I used to be pretty close with the owner of Sodens through the mid-2000s. I was the entertainment manager and I saw their family. You can very easily dedicate every one of those 120 hours to a bar. If you allow it to happen, and it becomes your entire existence.
Yep.
So you've obviously got something that you're getting joy out of driving, but you're also able to, just by necessity of having to go elsewhere, you're actually giving yourself some separation from a business that can be a 24-hour-a-day
that's
sort of
right.
thing.
Yeah, and we're lucky. We've got some really good staff, some really good crew down there at Two Fingers and at Dude Hut. And for me, it's a little bit of escape. You jump in the car and you just do something completely different for a while. And I think it's equally as important for the business to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, without the boss having to be there each and every day.
Correct.
You need to let them run. You need to let them make a few mistakes. You need to just give them guidance. But, hey, it
has to be viable without your physical presence.
Yeah, that's right. We need time away. We need to get away for the weekend and shoot off to Melbourne or shoot to Sydney and feel like we can do that and the business can operate well by itself in the background. Otherwise you're just making a rod for your own back that is going to be too hard to handle. So it's and you just surround yourself with good people. If you can get good people and you look after them, you pay them well and give them some good conditions and make it a fun environment to work. And I think that's the best you can do.
So what good life advice. Now, one of the reasons, basically I like you anyway, but I really wanted to get you on because as soon as I saw that you're an ambassador for Terry's Big Bearded Ball Drop, my brain went all tangents. Obviously, you're a great ambassador for a beard, and I don't know about the balls dropping bit or anything like that. Like, you have a deep voice. I get that. But it actually doesn't mean any of that, does it?
No, well, it is about Terry. It's about balls. It's about dropping. It's got nothing to do
just not where my brain went.
Nothing to do with teenage boys.
Yeah.
But look, on a serious note, it's pretty cool. It's an initiative to raise money for the Albury-Wodonga Regional Cancer Centre, and it was set up by a fellow called Terry. That Terry actually was diagnosed with skin cancer, and he's only given 6 weeks to live. And through the help of the regional cancer centre here, which is it's the only one outside of Melbourne. So otherwise these people would have to travel down to Melbourne for treatment. And there's I think 300 patients daily go through that facility there in Albury, and there's 1,500 new cases diagnosed annually. So it's important that we all as a community get behind it, and what Terry's done is fantastic, and it's done through bearded ambassadors. So he's picked bearded guys to go, hey, let's go raise some money for this. So we're pretty proud to be behind it, and we sort of asked the community to. So far we've raised $77,000. We're aiming at 200K by 21st of November this year. So we sort of need to get it cranked up, and every little bit helps. So if it's only just $5, that's okay. That's cool.
All right. Tell me this. I'm going to interrupt you because I've got questions.
Yep.
So what in it about this cause made you go, I really want to get around this?
I think it's just nice to be able to help the community and, be part of something like that. That now I've got the time to do this sort of stuff. Like when I was at Malibu and when I had that sort of job, I didn't, but now I can go, you know what? I've got time to do that now.
And you've got platforms.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got some great, social media stuff that we do. And so I said, I'd love to be on board with that. I was approached and they said, look, would you like to be an ambassador for it? I said, yeah, I would. I'd love to do that. The time's right for me to give back a bit to the community. And I think, what they're doing is great to be able to raise some money for some, new equipment and just public awareness as well as much of anything else.
Yeah, it's a great resource that the region of Albury-Wodonga has, and it wasn't always there. Like my brother, he had a melanoma on the top of his foot actually, and he had to go down to Melbourne to get it cut off, and he had to get a skin graft and his lymph nodes taken out and everything. And you're right, there is that extra commute on top of already a traumatic time.
That's right, and that all creates, extra stress.
Yep.
And
your family
cost.
Can't be around you necessarily. So to be able to have something like that so close to where we live we're incredibly fortunate. And anything I agree that we can go and put towards helping these resources get even better is just amazing. Now, I've seen a story on their Facebook page. I've been following their Facebook page of a girl called Brie, and she has the most amazing outlook on life.
Yeah, it's just incredible, really. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like her in terms of how positive she was.
She's from Benalla, school captain, then had a lump on her neck and it was cancer. And she just talks about it in such a positive way of how, I've learnt so much from this experience. Everyone at the cancer centre has been great and supportive, and I've been able to do it there, and we spend all this time. And she's taken it as a real life journey and something that she can take and share and help other people sort of grow as well.
Yeah,
so can you tell us what's involved in this big ball drop?
Right. So what they're doing is it's a helicopter drop. So there'll be golf balls dropped. So as part of you can just donate, or you can buy a golf ball, and then the helicopter goes up at the Benalla showgrounds, drops the golf balls, and whoever's closest to the pin, they win a $10,000 shopping spree, and there's supplementary prizes as well. We're hoping to, with COVID, hopefully the laws will relax a little bit by then. If we can get a crowd along there, would be fantastic. And a bit of a function afterwards. So hopefully that will go ahead. That's still to be announced at this stage, but the helicopter drop's certainly going to go ahead. It'll be filmed and it will be streamed regardless. But yeah, we'll hopefully we can get a crowd along there and make it a bit of a spectacle.
I want to go in the helicopter.
Of course you do.
Just, all of that. Like, obviously,
well,
all
the
that
name's making more sense.
All that information is important, but my brain wants to go in the helicopter straight away, like a big shiny thing in front of me now. Chris, do you know how many people are involved with this? Because I imagine that, it sounds like a sort of simple thing to happen, but I imagine that there is a lot of people that have jumped on board.
I think there's about 70 bearded ambassadors currently, so...
Can anyone be an ambassador?
Yeah, look, I'm sure if you go on the website and contact them through that and you're prepared to do a bit of fundraising, the more the merrier, if
what if I can't grow a beard?
Well, there's actually some of the girls are actually there's a couple
trying
of
to grow beard. Do you have beard growing pomade at your?
Well, we've got beard growth tablets we could sell.
Really? Maybe I should
supplements.
Suddenly you've got a tuft of leg hair just.
Yeah, we've got a few of the girls on board with best fake beard. So I think one girl's got a Vegemite beard that she puts on.
Gosh.
That's on her Facebook page, and then
right.
She deserves to win a prize.
I think there might be a crocheted beard as well. So the girls are getting pretty creative with their beards, which is good to see.
Maybe, maybe I should just jump on board and try some of your beard tablets. See whether something. What's the turnaround? What sort of product is this, Chris? Can I grow a beard before November 21 when this ball drop happens? With the strength of
just start rubbing some of that special hand sanitizer in your face, the Whisky sanitizer.
To be honest, when I look at your beard, Chris, I just wonder how often you sit there and just fondle it yourself.
I've been kind of miming doing that in my head myself.
Yeah, it's a bit of a relaxing
thing.
I do find myself, it's
deep in thought. Is it deep in thought?
Yeah, it gets a bit of a stroke when I'm deep in thought.
Speaking of deep in thought, before we get back into silly territory again, one thing that the event being in Benalla hit home for me was the true scope of the cancer centre. You think about it, because there was a little bit of cross-border back and forward about funding, and it felt like a very Albury-Wodonga-centric build and enterprise and, basically health service. But Benalla is still twice as close to Albury than it is to Melbourne, for example. And it puts it into perspective just how many, not just geographically, how big an area that the centre impacts. And one thing that occurs to me is that, I guess because I was a bit sensitive to it growing up, because for me, my mum would have probably been someone who would have went there instead of going for 6 weeks at a time to Melbourne for radiation therapy in the 90s, if the centre existed then. There was so much press about it getting built. And there was so much lead time involved and conversations and funding requests and backwards and forwards. Will it happen? Won't it happen? How's it going to happen? I think that particularly from the local media, for example, there really isn't a lot of coverage for the fact that it still has to run every day.
Mm.
It didn't just suddenly appear and then everything's perfect. It needs funding and support and
absolutely.
continuous community effort to keep something like that viable.
And also, like when all of us have been locked in, people still have cancer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just
still need
unrelenting.
treating.
That's right.
It's as unrelenting as time. So
Yep.
And even more so, I think, in the times that we've all just been through, that supportive network at a cancer centre might be the only contact really that a lot of those patients get.
Absolutely.
So having something like that just so close is, like you said, Josh, very important and underrated.
I won't name any names, but I was speaking to someone recently who it's non-cancer related medical problems, but they had two contemporaneous physical issues that both could only be sorted out in Melbourne. There's sick people that had to do that during this period.
Yeah.
You don't really think about the fact that there's a whole heap of people that didn't need to leave Albury,
Yeah.
Wodonga, or the region to go to get cancer treatment that in the past probably would have had to have negotiated even more strenuous conditions.
Yeah.
Or maybe not even able to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
So thank you.
Some serious shit.
Thank you
sure.
for jumping on board
No,
with this.
it feels good to be able to do something like that. It's,
Because you're the person, you're a big oversharer on your socials, and as soon as I saw that, I thought I want.
Well, you can't be reserved with a beard and mow like that. You've got to be.
Well, I would say
You
is
think
it like
people-
a cloak?
For
you
Well, if
to
I grew it, it probably would be. So you're probably right.
It's an identity you can hide. I'm not saying that you do hide behind it, but it's like your identity that you. Luckily, you do have personality as well, but you probably wouldn't need to with a beard like that. You could just get away with just walking down the street, just bland.
It's something I've been wondering when I used to see the aesthetic side of Doll Hut and Dude Hut. And I always thought it was such a, now having met you particularly, Chris, it's the sort of aesthetic that is just an outgrowth of you as a person and your partner.
realised how weird I really am.
Yeah. But I'm sure that there were certain people that probably viewed a lot of the aesthetic side of those two businesses early on as maybe nostalgic for the sake of being nostalgic.
Mm.
How did you deal with those sorts of... because if you want to describe for the listener what maybe the aesthetic is, it's
that's really interesting.
because when you said you worked on motors and you love old cars, it was like ping in my head. I'm like, so much makes sense now.
Yeah, it was sort of just that whole culture and that vibe that we're into, I suppose. And the way it all came about was I was actually at a swap meet down in Bendigo or Ballarat, and at a car swap meet, and I came across this painting that was an airbrush painting of by David Perry. It's a 1950s print, and it's called Amanda, and it's a chick sitting on the front of a hot rod outside the Doll Hut, which is a rock and roll venue in Anaheim. And I've actually just been there recently, which was pretty cool. But
Just as an aside.
it's a pretty famous painting, and I just kept walking past this painting all weekend going, geez, I love that painting. And it was fairly expensive. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll see if I've got any money by the time I've finished buying car parts. And it was still there at the end of the weekend. And I'm like, no, I'm going to buy that. There was something about it, I just had to have it. So then we were looking at another premise for a hair salon at the time. And when I got it home and I pulled it out of the wrapper and I showed Marty, she's gone, Doll Hut. She goes, that's a great name for a salon. And I'm like, whoa, yeah. And so what I'd purchased it for was, and then she just saw that name and we're like, wow, that's just a moment,
Yeah.
So, yeah, not long after that, I was cruising through, I had a shed down in South Albury, and I was cruising through a roundabout and I saw this little hair salon and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's like a little hut.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, like it was just the planets aligned.
Yeah.
And the girl that owned it rang Marty like 2 days later and said, my business is for sale. I heard you're looking for somewhere. Do you want to, buy?
Wow.
So we're like, wow. So, because it was Doll Hut, we're like, righto, let's clad the place in cedar.
Yeah.
Rough sawn cedar cladding, make it look like an old hut from the outside, but inside was all girly. So we had, beautiful chase lounges and beautiful curtains. And so it was really girly and beautiful on the inside with, beautiful wallpaper. And So that was really good. That was a bit of fun. And I sort of love creating those spaces, and I've got a vision in my head of, what I want to create. And that ran well. And then I saw that whole barbering scene evolve. It was happening in Melbourne and Sydney, and that whole culture. And because I was sort of into the cars and all that side of thing, I'm like, man, no one's done that here in Albury. And I'm like, I had my eye on that shop we're in at the moment on the corner of David Street and Smollett Street. And I'm like, man, that's a cool shop. I like that shop. That's a cool barbershop.
I like the shape.
And again, it just...
I like the shape of that one.
Again, the planets aligned, and it was just, I was walking past one day, and there was the girl that had it previous to us, I'm not here, I'm at home, here's my number. And the next day it was like for lease or something. And I'm like, righto, let's just take the lease on this place. And I said, matey, I reckon this barbering thing's going to just take off. So we were lucky we got in at the right time, and we've had some great staff, and a lot of the staff that we've had have actually gone on to open their own shops, which is cool. So it's just created that whole network in Albury, Wodonga, and so we did. So when we did that, we were like, well, we've got Dole Hut. So what are we going to call this other place? I'm like, well, it's got to be Dude Hut. So Dole Hut and Dude Hut, and did the same thing with the Dude Hut. That's all cladded, with the cedar again, and we've done the beautiful mural of Amanda on the wall in the shop. So that's the painting I was talking about earlier on. So we had a couple of local artists, Kate Bland and Cade Fielder. So Cade's done a lot of work around town. He's a guy that's done the stuff at Anthony's Butt House. It's called Riverside Meats now.
Yeah.
Over in Wodonga. He's done a lot of the big murals around town.
Yeah, right.
So to have those two guys do that, and it was sort of one of the biggest, or the first collabs they'd done together, and that's a really cool piece of artwork we've got in the shop. So that's sort of just stuff like that made it more unique, and then we busted out the wall and we put another couple of chairs next door, and we've put the Grave Before Shave shop in there. So we've got all the beard products, and we didn't have a lot of space for retail. So we took that shop over, and that's got the apparel and the products in there. And then then the landlord kept seeing us make these renovations and these changes. Hey, do you want the shop next door? So then Two Fingers became available. So.
Yeah, right.
And then that's sort of when we pushed into that area, and we did the reno with Two Fingers, and and that's been fantastic. I get a lot of enjoyment out of seeing people come in and look around the place and go, wow, I didn't know this place was here.
Yeah.
And visited, and we've been lucky. We've had postcards came through and did a segment on us, and it's been really nice to be able to sort of share that space. So there's plenty more to come. There's plenty more in the think tank. And we've got some projects on the board. So,
well, that just sounds like he's pitching to come back on another episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, he wants another episode.
I liked his couches; are very comfy.
Yeah, they are comfy.
So amazing when you just to start from just thinking. Obviously, you're a man that dreams big, and you've got an entrepreneurial streak. So many of these things may have happened anyway in some iteration, but to think that it was. What I noticed most is this constant, beautiful aesthetic that's through everything, where it's harmonious across all the brands, and it just seems to come from you guys as people out. That all stems back to a random picture that you had to go back for a couple of times at a car show.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you didn't have any money left at the end of the weekend, would you have had that conversation, and would there be a Dole Hut? Like, I know it's reverse causality, but it's
that's right. That's interesting. It might have just been called Madge's Hair Salon or something like that.
Yeah, and then there might not have been what's the male version of Madge?
Madge's Hut.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man Madge's.
Oh, yeah.
Shave shop.
Homer's cuts.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. One other little thing I'd just like to touch on. I want to make sure we reiterate how important this ball drop is. Bearded ball drop. Terry's
big bearded ball drop. Is that correct?
That's it.
Yeah. Reason being is I don't think anyone can say that they have not met someone that has been impacted by cancer or something like that. So it's an important cause, and I know we don't love to get too heavy all the time, but sometimes you need to do the heavy lift because people need this.
Absolutely.
And at the time, it's amazing that this has been done, and this is a guy who has fought through it. My I've also got one of my most amazing, someone that I very much looked up to when I was very sick was my uncle, who had polio, he'd had pancreatic cancer, he'd had everything, and similar, like just kept plugging through. Like he pushed from behind but led at the front as well, and there was nothing that was going to stop him. And he also, in a similar vein, was given all time to live. And he just kept fighting and fighting and fighting, and lasted like an extra couple of years and got to see like his first grandson born and all this other stuff. So these facilities around here are very important. So I just want to make sure that people, $20 buys you a ball. Is that right?
Yep.
And if you can't not have a night out for dinner or a takeaway and donate $20, then that's 4 coffees.
Yeah.
Just put your money aside.
Just talk to the kids about bypassing their allowance for the week, and you can chip in as a family.
And do you know what's funny? Because a lot of kids are a lot more developed, I think, than we give them credit for. And if you explained this situation to them, I'm pretty sure that they would be very happy to donate their allowance as well. Now, on a lighter note, this great space that you have at Two Fingers has a little buzzy live music scene.
Yeah, it does. We've been very blessed. We've got some great people, backing us and supporting us, and some of the musos that have come out of the woodwork since we've sort of started our live jams on Thursdays has been phenomenal. There's which it's got a great vibe. It's a small space where we can only get 14 in there at the moment with the COVID restrictions, but. And most nights we're probably, more than 50% of our capacity as musos, and, a small sector for punters to come in. But look, we have great fun down there. I love it. It's a big release for me. I love my music, and I love participating down there on a Thursday. So it's something that is really growing. We're looking forward to the end of COVID so we can get some more punters in there, because the culture's really outgrown the petri dish, so to speak. So
I would say this from
that's a good expression. I like that.
A reflective point of view. It's like you just said. Then you love the feel of the play, but it's an unselfish thing that you're putting on, because by allowing that many musicians to come in, you're limiting your potential income capacity on that night, right? Because you're just basically opening this up as a space for people to come and be able to express themselves and have an outlet, which is an amazing thing for you to do, because I don't believe that a lot of other people would have the same capacity to go, you know what, I'm just going to cut out that.
Not if you can have less
income.
Artists and more drinkers.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, for us, it's more about the music and about the vibe. And we've just been so fortunate. We've had we've had guys from Queensland touring through that go, hey, we hear you've got this little venue and next minute they're in there jamming with our guys. And we've had that happen 2 or 3 times where we've had artists that have just found out about our venue, and they've come to the area, or they're travelling through and they're gone, hey, we hear you guys do music. And for me, that's just such a buzz. And to see, some nights we'll have 6 or 8 musos in there. We've got keys, we've got horns, we've got, guitars, drums. It's quite phenomenal. And some of the artists that are coming down to play, some old school Albury talents coming out, and we've got electric fiddles, and we've got all sorts of crazy instruments starting to come out of the woodwork, which is pretty cool,
And it is a very welcoming environment, because I popped my head in the other night and Dean Hattani asked me if I sung, which was madness, really. But I think at one point, if someone else hadn't have turned up, he would have tried to pull me up on stage. So there's no judgment on ability there.
Absolutely.
It's very much everyone is welcome. We don't care whether you're top rung, bottom rung, middle rung.
Everyone's got to start somewhere, and that's what we want, as an environment to nurture, especially young talent. And music's a thing where a lot of people, they go to music because they may be having some issues, or they so to help nurture those people through and not put them down, go, hey, get up and have a go. But we're lucky because it is a small venue. We've got that ability to do that. If we're a massive venue where people felt more intimidated, it may be different, but we can keep that intimate vibe because we're up close and personal with the musos, and having a couple of drinks always helps as well.
Yeah, maybe that's
a bit of artificial bravery.
That's where my fault is. I had a coffee instead of a whiskey. So
oh, you just would have sang really, really fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
No, thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been great chatting.
I really appreciate it. Now, can we just get a list of all your socials? There's a big one. It's a big.
Yep. So Dude Hut is Dude Hut at. So we've got Dude Hut Instagram, Dude Hut Facebook. Grave Before Shave is on Facebook, and on Instagram. Poseidon Distributors, Instagram and Facebook. Two Fingers Whisky Bar, Instagram and Facebook.
It's got them all covered.
So, do you need a drink and a breath in between?
You might have to go have a drink back at the bar. 13
Cabs is there, and the reason that we have you here that's it.
Yeah, that's
what I was going to say. I don't want to
yeah.
cut you off before you. The reason that we had you in on here today for Terry's Big Bearded Ball Drop, jump on their Facebook page. The 21st of November is when that ball drop is going to be happening. Just have a bit of a read. Look at some of the videos that are on there. It's a very worthwhile cause for the Albury-Wodonga community and surrounds. So
it's an excellent cause.
Yeah.
And I guess if the wife, Chris, ever asks you why, if you're ever going to shave, you can just remind her that you own a business together called Grave Before Shave. Righto. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks, listeners. Thank you. Bye.
Wowzers.
That was cool.
Terry's Big Bearded Ball Drop. Impressive cause. The name doesn't live up to where my brain took it, though.
I think it's probably a good thing it doesn't live up to anything.
True. I'm really glad we got to get him on because he has a lot of fingers in a lot of pies.
2 fingers, possibly. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was just right there.
True. I didn't even try and lead you into that.
Okay, I thought that was T-ball.
No.
Okay.
No,
well, I'll take that one then.
Not at all.
I earned that.
Yeah, and there's more to come from this guy. He's just not just sitting there on the couch talking to us about all these causes and great businesses. It feels like his brain is ever evolving and just looking for more work to do pretty much.
It sounds like that's what he wants. How do I sleep even less than 40 hours a week?
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what else? I'm just going to segue this into something. He's quite a smiley, like genuine person, right?
Yes.
Behind the beard, which could be intimidating, he's quite a genuine,
super happy, kind of up sort of dude,
uppity guy. On my way here today, I've got a supreme issue that is coming out in this world, and it's starting to really bug me a little bit.
Yeah, you turned up and you're a little bit
agitated.
Agitated, yes.
Yeah. What is the problem with people and receiving smiles? So I run around and if I'm walking past someone, I smile at them whether I know them or not because I just feel like, or if something about what they're doing is good, I'll just smile at them as a form of recognition and engagement. And
sorry, my stomach is just growling.
At my smiling? Is your
I had a physical reaction to this story.
Well, what is it? Because I do it and people either glare at me, look down, or just are suspicious.
Okay. So I don't honestly know.
Okay.
The only thing that you did say in there that kind of makes me think maybe you're catching them unawares is that you don't know them and you're smiling maybe like you do know them. So
maybe.
You're making them think, oh shit, she knows me. I do not know who she is.
Maybe. Well, there was a chick that was driving past. She had like a motor scooter thing, right? And I was like, that's cool. I'd really want to have a go on that. And she had a kid on her lap. She drove past and I just smiled at them like, you guys are cool. And she just like snarled at me.
Oh, a snarl.
Well, yeah, what
Wow.
I would
Okay.
epitomise as a snarl. But then a lot of time, I will say this, people do respond to a smile. But I had a bad run of smile reactions today.
I can
And
tell.
I'm not happy about
It's
it.
like it's chipped away at you a
It
little
has.
bit.
It's chipped away at me because I'm just trying to be a happy person. Here's the thing about it. I don't think I'm used to it happening so much regionally because generally regional people are quite friendly, right? If you like reach out and talk to them, then they reciprocate. When I was living in the city, in Sydney, I would smile and talk to everyone. And I feel like they thought that I had some hidden agenda behind it.
Like you're about to open your coat and sell them a watch or something.
Yeah, like what is the purpose behind her actually just engaging
trying
and
to
being a nice
pickpocket me or-
person? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like it. It doesn't need to be
It's
suspicious.
pretty funny how fussy people can be because there's a certain amount of cordiality that people would expect from everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're not as nice as what they want, they're going
Yeah.
to hate you.
Yeah,
But if you're the even 1% too nice and it doesn't seem justified,
yeah.
if you're leaning, I'm going to be nice as opposed to not nice, you run the risk of people thinking you've got something up and running.
It's exactly right. It's like there's an agenda behind what I'm doing, and it's not. It's usually I'm just bored.
Well, there is an agenda. Your agenda is you don't want to be an F-wit.
Well, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. Maybe I took too much smile effort.
Is it potential that you could get away with just being as friendly without the physicality of being friendly?
Potentially. See,
Or is it
I
just
feel
a
like
simple-
this is part of your problem that you've projected onto me. I'm going to tell you why right now.
God,
It's
here we
because
go.
I used to be a winker. I'm a winker as well.
I know you're a winker. Well, I'm
And
going to call you a former winker.
a former winker. So I think that you having this issue, and it's also when it was brought up about my winking thing, because I tended to smile with too much effort, so I would walk down the street and just wink at people.
Well, that's even worse.
So I think once you brought that to attention, that potentially that's like someone trying to crack onto you or
Yeah.
whatever.
I can't believe that you thought that smiling was a step up from winking. Winking is at the pinnacle of weird person behaviour.
It's absolutely not. And I feel like it's because I embody like a 60-year-old man inside. Like
Yes.
that's how,
I'm happy we've finally gotten to the truth here.
because that's what they do, right? Like if you're, hey, go and do a little wink as you pass them in the hallway or something.
Yeah.
And I hang around a lot of people of that age, and maybe because I identify, this sounds like a really weird counselling session, but because I identify in that like genre of people, that I just think that it's okay for this little blonde chick to walk down the street winking at people going, how you going?
Smile at you, smile at your kid, wink at your boyfriend.
Because it's me just saying hello.
See, the thing about a misplaced smile or even just a misplaced wave is that it can never be taken as anything but, oh, they're a bit over-friendly.
Yeah.
But a misplaced wink,
There's no intention behind it.
no, but intention doesn't matter when you're throwing out a wink.
But see, I don't want to change my traits, and my traits are 60-year-old man, not PC, just does what he likes.
Yeah.
And the winking thing is just a friendly thing that I do, or formerly did, until you made such a big issue about it that it made you uncomfortable or something like that.
If that's the worst thing that I ever do to you as friends,
Yeah.
something that I see as only a positive, you should be thankful that you met me.
Oh,
There's no one at home thinking, that bastard stole her wink. No. How could he do that?
here's where I think, because after I addressed it in my head when you brought it up, I was like, have I been just running around cracking on to half of Albury Wodonga without realising? And you're just sitting there nodding, going, yes, you were.
By accident, obviously. No.
Well, not intentionally. I was just feel like lifting your hand up sometimes, and like there's a lot of muscles in your face, Josh. Around your mouth is it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile, but there's a lot of muscles involved.
Yeah.
So a wink isn't easy. I reckon everyone should do
So
it.
you're basically angry at the world because they don't see the economy of a wink over a smile.
Exactly.
Don't you realise I'm conserving energy
It's
over
an
here?
energy economy, and it's just like a little thing, and you just don't want to, if you're in a confined space, if it's a crowded hallway or anything, which now makes it even seem worse if you're there just tipping your head and winking at people.
Yeah, well, you're doing a full head tip and a wink.
Yeah, because I've got
Can I give you this is something.
I'm not great at winking.
This is when I've received winks in my time that were friendly. Hey, how you going, winks, or good on you sort of winks.
Yeah.
If you pair the wink with another less threatening physical gesture like a thumbs up, it kind of 50-50s the wink.
Cancels it out,
Yeah, so if I wink and do that as a double up, it's not as, I don't know, for the lack of a better term, the wink can very easily be interpreted as a sexualised gesture.
Yes. It's not from me. So
no, you wouldn't want to be the amount that you were winking.
I don't want to, yeah.
Talking about muscles, you'd literally wink to the point you'd built up little winking sept muscles on your face.
By winking sept muscles, yeah. How much do you lift? Just my lashes.
You're sitting there winking at a guy and he thinks he's in.
Oh, it's more like a what's that Twitch thing going on? What's that? God, she's strange. What's that weird twitchy thing that's going on? Nah, it's usually just strangers.
Are we, just to finish up today, because we've gone way off course, do you think that it might be worth, you know how there's those big websites on Facebook that they do pranks?
Yeah.
Can we film you
winking
at a whole street full of people just to get a vibe on it?
Yeah.
And we maybe will get someone to follow us down the street behind us so they don't look like, and then pull those people up and ask how they felt about the wink later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing for me. Yeah.
To me, a wink is
Release me into the wild with my winks.
To me, the wink is basically a non-physical butt pat.
I nearly swore then, because there is no way, like, okay, that's not true at all, because if you went on a football field, right, and you're with your teammates and someone's kicked a goal, they're not going to walk up to them and wink at them.
Exactly, because it's worse than a butt pat. That's exactly the point. It's literally worse than being patted on the butt.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to everyone who's ever received one.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to everyone that I've stopped it from doing it. So, punchingsideways.com. There won't be anyone winking at you there, I don't think, hopefully, unless we get some videos up.
Yeah.
If you want to see Mel do the wink walk, let us know about that, because we'll make it happen if you want to see it. And if you want to support the show, just click on a button there and buy us a coffee, which we appreciate.
Yes, thank you.
And we won't inbox you with winky videos.
Just an emoji occasionally. That's my favourite emoji as well.
Can we dress you up as a koala and call you Winky Billy? Sorry. That was the worst joke of all time and I just couldn't land it. A little bit of Winky Bill. Right. See you, everybody.